But yeah, as I was saying before, I have the Bitcoin license plate now. I'm actually divesting a lot from Bitcoin. Most of it's going to Dash, and a good chunk of it's also going to Ethereum. And I look at it this way: there's a lot more ways that the hard fork can end badly than it can end well. And I mean, ultimately, really, when you're in cryptos, it's so easy and they're so liquid and they're so fast to exchange that there's no real downside to just trading out of whatever currency you don't like. And this is kind of I think this is the way the future is going to be, is that you have a marketplace of currencies that you just trade in and out of things as you fancy, because there's not the same barriers that there are with traditional exchange, which I think is a great thing, because it's only going to improve our monetary system globally, and you don't have this whole petrodollar hegemony of the U.S. that it's not necessarily ideal. And one of our meetup members was telling us that actually, the U.S. dollar, the Federal Reserve note as a fiat, is one of the longest running fiat currencies ever. So it's like, well, as long as it's not that, you're probably safer. And I really think that Ethereum's got its own thing. It's a lot more complex thing than just digital cash or anything like that. But and that's why I'm still doing Dash and Ethereum, because Ethereum's got a lot more complexity there, and can do a lot more different things, whereas Dash just simply works as digital cash, but it has a lot better features than Bitcoin. You have your it's essentially the first distributed autonomous organization. I mean, you can say Bitcoin is, but it's not a very well written one, because it only rewards the Bitcoin miners, whereas Dash rewards the miners, the people that run the nodes, and it also sets aside 10% for the treasury, where the nodes can then the master nodes can then decide where to put that. And I think that's a lot more robust DAO, in that the number of actions that it can cause to happen are a lot greater and more varied, that it can better respond to the actual complexities of an evolving cryptocurrency, whereas Bitcoin doesn't have any of those features. And on top of that, because they have these nodes, well, they can also do instant send and private send, so you can have some sort of anonymity, which I think that is one of the largest chunks of value that Bitcoin is missing right now, is anonymity, because it hurts the fungibility of your cash. And there's just some things that work better. Like, why have a currency that can only deal in the white market? The currency that can deal both in the white and black market is going to be much more valuable, because currencies are a network of mutual trust, I guess you could say. And so if you look at it that way, that you can connect to a lot more sources of different types of value with a currency that has anonymity, because it has that whole spectrum. And there's a lot of talk of the gray market and stuff, where you have these places in Africa and other developing countries that are not as they don't have the KYC AML stuff, and so the only market that does exist is this gray market, where it's not necessarily legal, but it's not legal to the same standard that a lot of first world countries deem legal. So yeah, and then that's I guess where I'm going with why I think I'm going to divest a good portion of my Bitcoin. I'll probably still keep probably 50% of my Bitcoin still in Bitcoin, or I guess capital into Bitcoin. But I'm definitely going to put a lot more into Ether or Ethereum and Dash, just because it's just down to capabilities. Like, there's a bunch of new money coming into the cryptocurrency sphere, and there isn't any, there's the newer money does not. There are a lot of institutional investors, I think. They don't have any, specific ideological bent to, stick with Bitcoin particularly, or there's no sentimental value there. They're just looking for what works. And as far as features go, I think Dash is probably one of the more robust digital currencies. And Ethereum has this entire Turing complete language built on top of it that can really, it can do a lot of things. And I just don't think it's there yet. And I think the ultimate value proposition of Ethereum is a long way off. But, it's a long-term investment. Like even with Bitcoin, it's pretty volatile, but you buy it, if you buy it at, at any point, if you held it for 2 years, you would have made a killing holding it for 2 years and then selling it. So it's one of those, you have to look at your time frames. And I think really in the midterm here, there's going to be a lot of volatility around this Bitcoin split, which I think it's inevitable. It might actually go quite nicely, but it might also go horribly wrong. And I have enough holdings that I want to divide it up and let's try something else out. And ultimately, Ethereum and I think Dash, they still have more capabilities. And I think as soon as people realize how easy it is to trade crypto for crypto, and how liquid those markets are. I mean, they're way more liquid than any existing capital market. Like you don't have settlement times and all this other BS of the traditional financial system because it's all crypto. And so I could move. I moved $20,000 in a day. And it takes 10 minutes to confirm or whatever. Well, GDAX took 3 confirmations to move my Bitcoins in there. But that's unheard of. When I first was buying into Bitcoin, it took me what the heck is going on here? This autopilot's a little weird. It took days. I used Dwala to move a bunch of currency, and that eventually got shut down. But it still took 3 or 4 days, and in that time, I lost, potentially, tens of thousands of dollars just by the slippage from when I wanted to buy Bitcoin and when I could actually get funds in there to buy Bitcoin because the price was going all over the place. So there's, really something different, I think, when you go crypto to crypto, that the volatility and the speed and velocity at which you can change your capital out is just not seen before. And if you look at how fast Bitcoin has lost its dominance, going from 85 to 70% of the total market cap of all cryptos, it did not take long. It was not even a month, I think it took to drop 15%. And it's billions of dollars. When you're only talking about total market cap of 20 billion or something like that, that's huge. So as much as I like my Bitcoin license plate, I think if I can get a proposal to swap it out, it's only I think $100 to get vanity plates. But I might try and see if Dash would want to support it if I could get a Dash plate. Otherwise, I was thinking just changing it to Merkle or something like that, because really Merkle trees are one of the key pieces to this, or switch it to blockchain of some sort. But I'm sure that's also taken because Merkle trees and blockchains are the things that underlie all these cryptocurrencies. So it's kind of interesting. How quickly things can change. And, really I should have been doing more due diligence on Dash and these other cryptos. But Bitcoin was going along well enough for so long that, it is just a juggernaut. It just kept going. It didn't really care what people thought. It was the honey badger. It just don't give a fuck. And, that only goes on so long until there's real problems that start really affecting enough people that it's affecting the actual value proposition. I mean, in 2013, it was a few cents, and your average transaction was, 1 block. It took 10 minutes, but now you're getting hour and 45 minutes, and it costs you 80 cents, and that's a totally different currency than what it was 3 years ago. And so yeah, I'm still going to hold some Bitcoin, and I think it's going to be a very long-term play before that ever comes out. Comes back to where it is. I mean, I'm still way up on it, but I think Dash and Ethereum have a lot better prospects in the short and medium term. Maybe when this block gets figured out, or this hard fork gets figured out, it won't be so bad. But until then, I'm going to make money in other cryptos.